evening. You're watching Left, Right and Centre this Friday night. I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the show this evening, as NGOs named in the Intelligence Bureau's report call it baseless and false, is the government targeting civil society groups, or do NGOs need to be more transparent about their funding? Also tonight, two tragedies separated by 17 years but united by the same cause. They were man-made disasters. From the Upar cinema fire in Delhi to the Mandi tragedy just a few days earlier that saw 24 students swept away by dam waters, we ask what's happened to a law that was meant to deal with this problem. Is there no political will? That's a little later in the show. But first tonight, NGOs named in a controversial Intelligence Bureau report sent to the Prime Minister's office have called the accusation that they're hurting the country's economy baseless and false. The row has deepened over the last couple of days with reports that the PMO has written to states asking for details of various NGOs and what projects they're working on. And one report also claims the IB in fact copied and pasted something Narendra Modi had said several years ago. Tanima Biswas has the story.
Days after being red flagged by a controversial Intelligence Bureau report, NGOs united in their outrage over being branded as a security threat to India's economy.
Or rather, the job of the Intelligence Bureau is to deal with subjects like terrorism, sabotage, espionage, subversion, counterintelligence and so on. They are not authorized to write a report on environmental security.
These organizations claimed the report was baseless, its timing suspect, coinciding with the Modi government's push to fast-track several projects which were stuck over environmental clearances. The 21-page report to the Prime Minister's office has warned against a range of NGOs, from allegations of anti-coal activism against Greenpeace in Madhya Pradesh to labelling the POSCO protests as anti-development, to raking up the infamous foreign hand angle in the Kudankulam protests. Even though the report is just an input to the government and doesn't constitute a call to action, the worry for NGOs is that the ruling party has treated the alleged threat as an established fact.
NGO, जिनको विदेशों से माल मिल रहा है, उनका मुख्य रूप से एक ही सिद्धांत रहा है कि किस प्रकार से गुजरात और भारत को अस्थिर करो.
In fact, in 2012, it was Prime Minister Manmohan Singh who had first blamed NGOs for fueling anti-nuclear protests and for opposing genetically modified food. Today, the Congress preferred to justify the jurisdiction of the Intelligence Bureau.
IB has the jurisdiction to inquire anything and everything in this country.
The NGOs came together today to make it clear to the government that they are not going to take matters lying down. Although they took on the IB publicly, some of these NGOs are still hoping that the current government does not take any action on a report which was formed 2 years ago. With camera person Jagdish in New Delhi, Tanima Biswas for NDTV.
Well, the question is whether these are legitimate concerns about the way NGOs function in this country, whether there are legitimate questions on their funding, or whether NGOs in fact are being targeted by this government in particular. We have Malika Sarabhai, well-known activist, joining us tonight from Ahmedabad. Yatin Oza, leader of the BJP in Gujarat, also from the BJP. Shaina NC joins us tonight from Mumbai. Javed Anand, also activist, well-known activist, joins us tonight from Mumbai as well. And we have Arun Bhagat, the former director of the Intelligence Bureau, here in the studio with us. Malika Sarabhai, to you first. The NGOs are outraged with this report. They're saying that they believe, in a sense, that this government is using this report to target them. However, would you concede that there are also legitimate questions that are raised about the way many NGOs function in this country and the need for more transparency there as well?
Like most things in this country, there are good and there are bad NGOs. There are lots and lots of completely fraudulent NGOs, many of them actually attached to political figures whose wives have started funding agencies and NGOs, and they certainly need to be looked at. I think transparency in anything is a good thing. I think all NGOs need to be completely transparent, but to say that if I raise the concerns of the environment, or if I raise genuine concerns that I am blocking development, whose development? Who defined development? Does development only mean GDP growth? No, it doesn't. Development has to be about the people, not about the corporates, not about POSCO, but about the people. So to put all of this in one bag, I think, is wrong. But yes, certainly NGOs have to be completely transparent about their funding and about what they do, but this is witch hunting.
Okay, you're saying this is witch hunting. I'm going to take that question to Shaina NC. Shaina, I'm going to read out to you a part of the report, and this specifically concerns Gujarat, where it talks about how NGOs like PUCL and the Movement for Secular Democracy are making efforts to debunk the Gujarat model of development. It talks about a 2-day seminar organized in which these NGOs participated, where they also criticized the state government with regard to the Statue of Unity. And that pretty much seems to be the accusation now against these NGOs in Gujarat. Now, Shaina, on the face of it, what is wrong with that? I mean, if somebody wants to criticize the Gujarat model of development, how is that a threat to the Gujarat model of development, as the report says, or to economic security, or to anyone's security? People can criticize. It's okay. Shaina.
Nidhi, I think you're correlating two separate issues. Everyone is entitled to criticism, if at all criticism keeps people on guard, and it also ensures that there is a certain transparency from the administration, etc. But when it comes to NGOs, there are a lot of NGOs that do phenomenal work in this country, but there are a lot of them which are completely confused with national interest, with foreign funding, with all kinds of pseudo incentives, and which have also propagated on the floor of being NGO vested interests. So I think that the government is absolutely on board and is absolutely legitimate in asking that if there is a funding procedure that you all use which comes from overseas, that needs to be clearly it needs to completely come under the public forum, and we need to know what the agendas are. We have seen time and again propaganda against Gujarat, which is one aspect, but there is a lot of vested interests of be it pseudo-seculars, be it people who are in various positions who want to misuse the forum of an NGO, who misuse funds on the forum of an NGO. All of that needs to come into check.
On the specific,
so I think we need to welcome this move of the government.
But on the specific issue of NGOs in Gujarat, for instance, criticizing the Gujarat model of development, I ask you specifically on that because that has been cited as a problem. They're criticizing the state government with regard to the Statue of Unity. So what? I mean, why is that a threat? Why is that an issue?
That is not a threat. That is not a threat, Nidhi, but that is clearly something that is questionable. If you're going to question the Statue of Unity, which is supposed to also be a symbol of national pride, I think that one has to view it very rationally, and there will always be two viewpoints. And what is our government saying? Our government is only saying that come clean on all your transactions, on all your incentives and all your objectives, and come clean on whether there is a vested interest or not.
If you criticize the Gujarat model of development or the Statue of Unity, then we will question your finances. We will turn, I mean, Malika Sarabhai wanted to come in on that. Malika, yes.
You have cited, one second, Nidhi, you've only cited one or two examples out of a list of so many, and we have thousands of NGOs in this country.
No, but this is an important one I highlighted because I was just trying to understand what the issue was here. Malika Sarabhai, yes.
How can she or the government think that they can threaten us if we say that 2,000 crores, which is going in for a statue that probably only the crows will see, should be spent in other issues like employment generation or building toilets? What is there anti-national about that? And if the Gujarat model is as wonderful as it is made out to be, then the government should say, pick it apart and prove to us that it's not true. Why is the government afraid?
You have crores of Indians who feel completely contrary to your sentiment that you echo on every television program. There are lakhs and lakhs, crores of people who feel that this is the moment of development and stability in this country.
All right, let me just...
Sure, you are entitled to yours, but you can't throw that down all of us.
No, but I think the question is Javed Anand also. Let me get you in on here on the
accountability. As you can't on us.
On the accountability of NGOs as well. Now, there are concerns about that also, Javed Anand. I'm just going to tell you what the CBI told the Supreme Court earlier this year. It said that there are about 20 lakh NGOs in this country, one for every 600 people, and only some 2% of them have actually filed their annual returns. with the government of India.
Absolutely
so
correct.
therefore, when you look at those figures, you realize that perhaps there are a lot of questions that are raised that are legitimate and that need to be answered. Maybe the IB report isn't the best way to do it, but certainly you would concede that there is much more transparency needed. Javed Anand.
Of course, Nidhi, I mean, I agree with both Malika and Shaina that NGOs need to be as accountable, as transparent as governments should be, as other institutions in society should be. Who can disagree with that at the level of general principles? But now come to specifics. You have taken the example of PUCL, an organization that was started by Jaiprakash Narayan, of which Mr. Arun Shuri was an important functionary at one point of time. There are all kinds of responsible, nationally known, respected people who have been part of it at different times. What we are talking about here is not generalities. Quite clearly, it is the Gujarat model which is thought to be now generalized all over India. Whether we are talking about PUCL or take Seva, women's organization of Ila Bhatt, which is internationally known and respected for the good work it is doing. Or take our organization Citizens for Justice and Peace, which has been hounded. Or take Medha Patkar, who risks her life when she steps into Gujarat. Why? Because she has a view on Narmada Dam, which is different from what a lot of Gujaratis feel. So it looks like NGOs are okay if they agree with the government. There is no space for dissent. That is the idea that is thought to be transported now from Gujarat to India, and that is an extremely worrisome and a dangerous development.
So you believe that you believe, like Malika Sarabhai does, that this is a deliberate targeting of NGOs? That's what you think? That with the new dispensation in Delhi, that's what's happening? Javed, can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to...
yes.
Okay, no, my question was that do you believe, like Malika Sarabhai, that this is a deliberate witch hunt by the new dispensation here?
Sorry, are you asking me or Malika?
No, you.
Okay. It certainly looks like it's got all the makings of a witch hunt. This is exactly what has happened in Gujarat in the last 12 years, and it looks like that is what is thought to be replicated across the country. In the name of accountability of NGOs, they should be accountable, of course. In the name of transparency, they of course should be transparent. In any case, there are laws in this country, whether it is the Charity Commissioner, Registrar of Societies, Income Tax, FCRA Act, where all NGOs are meant to be accountable, file regular returns, etc. If some are not doing so, if many are not doing so, they should be certainly singled out and kind of action should be taken against them according to the law of the land.
Okay.
But talking about PUCL, talking about Citizens for Justice and Peace, talking about Medha Patkar.
Okay, fair point. Yatin Ozad, then how do you respond to the charges of this being a witch hunt? How will you dispel fears that this is not a witch hunt and this is a legitimate exercise to bring about greater transparency among various groups that work in this country? Would you acknowledge the good work also that NGOs do in this country?
Let me tell you, your audio is so poor. I have not been able to catch anything that the earlier speakers, excepting few words from Malika ji and from Saina NC. But let me don't first appreciate the problem. This IB report is not prepared after Mr. Modi assumed office on 26th of May. This IB report is an exercise undertaken by the department since last 2 years. Please see, look at the report, how serious it is. Take out Gujarat. There are NGOs who have transmitted the complete blueprint of uranium plants, nuclear plants to Germany. Several final fundings have been made through Scandinavian countries. And their activity is not 1, 2, 3, 4 NGOs. Several NGOs activities are directly funded to hamper the growth of India. There are 7 countries named who undertakes refresher course, study groups to go into depth to study what are the areas and arenas where obstacles can be created, thereby resulting into economic growth and not only hampering the economic growth of this country,
where is the evidence of that?
Serious threat to the security and sovereignty of this country.
Mr. Oza, we had Surjit Bhalla, who's a very well-respected economist on this program a couple of days ago on this very issue, and he completely rubbished the IB report on the question of this, that it affects 2 or 3% of the GDP as an economist, saying, where has that figure come from? Where is the evidence that it affects the 2% of the GDP? Where is the evidence, I ask you then, where is the evidence that NGOs are bringing the GDP down by 2 to 3%?
Why don't you take Greenpeace as an example? Why don't you take all the varied, environmentalists who get foreign funding? What are they opposing? The question here, Nidhi, is two. One is that if you are an NGO which is doing genuine work, we welcome it and we are absolutely with you for your social service in this country. But if you have come into this country only to be a nuisance value and have a vested interest and foreign funding and an agenda, which we have seen time and again, clearly that is questionable. And if we are wrong for any reason, prove it by, the very statistic that you gave, that only 2% of the NGOs actually file their returns or even come under the purview. So if the government wants to rectify a system, it is not to suggest, like what Malika ji said, that focus on other core issues. We're focusing on all issues, but this is clearly an issue that needs to be addressed. And if the IB comes up with certain suggestions and certain recommendations, I think we as a mature society and a mature democracy should be welcoming it, because at the end of it, there is a question of national pride, yes, but national security as well. As to who are these people who are supporting these organizations who have zoomed in only to take on development in a country like ours? Is it because they have a complete agenda in mind, which is that India should not progress? If that is so, who are the people behind it?
China,
where
India
is the funding coming from?
It's a very multi-layered country. There are many problems this country has. People have different definitions of what development is. There are people who can protest, people who have a right to dissent. But I just want to get Mr. Bhagat, the former director of the IB, into this. Mr. Bhagat, how do you look at this report? Because there are many people who've just raised eyebrows and wondered whether it's gone too far, or do you believe it does raise important issues as well?
You see, for one, I cannot understand. If it is supposed to be a secret document, how has it come into the public domain?
Well, that's what the media does, sir.
Secondly, how accurate is this? Whatever transcripts somebody has, how accurate is it? And in any case, there's no point in arguing with what the IB has written. IB has, if it has written this, it has given certain...
They haven't denied it. So.
They have given certain suggestions. They have made, for the basis of their conclusions, they have given some instances. Now, PUCL I know is a very good organization. It has done really stellar work. There is no doubt about it. It is recognized for that, and very prominent people have been connected with it. But it can also make a mistake. So, what I would like to say is, just let the NGOs wait for the government response. Now, to my mind, I haven't read any thing about what the government is doing about it. Yes, there is some mention about circular being sent to states for that.
Yes.
But it has not acted as yet. It wants information.
You don't think it's
and
a little odd?
that is what
the
Intelligence
Bureau
Bureau is there.
Today that one key paragraph of the report is almost a virtual copy of what Mr. Modi said at a function some years ago.
Maybe it is that. There may be some plagiarization. There may be some ideas which have been taken from somewhere. I don't know. But you see, first of all, I'm doubting the accuracy of the whole thing. And
Why?
the seriousness.
The IB would have denied it. The Home Ministry would have issued a denial and said the
seriousness with which this is being argued. Let the government respond to it.
No,
let the government tell these,
sir,
ask these NGOs, then they should go. Why are they getting so concerned about it?
The report has been in a public domain for days now and has not been denied by anybody in the government.
IB is not in the habit of denying.
The Home Ministry could have denied it. They could have said that this report doesn't exist.
Then. You
well,
asked
of course,
them.
but they haven't.
Why haven't
So I don't think questioning the veracity of the report is a question.
My point is, why not? How do you know
did
that
the
this
IB come to the
accurate?
conclusion that 3% of the GDP is hit because of the work that NGOs do?
Well, maybe it is a wrong conclusion. I don't know. I haven't seen the report. I do not know whether it is accurate, whether it is authentic. That's what I am saying. That you have started arguing on various matters which you are presumed to have taken place.
No, these are way more than presumptions.
I don't know. I'm very doubtful about it.
Well,
because
the Home Ministry was welcome to deny.
If the government acts on this, if the government asks for an explanation from these, now probably what the IB, what I can make out, wanted to point out is that you must have some proper rules and regulations in regard to NGOs. Now NGOs presently are governed by 1860 societies.
No, but that you're right.
And,
I said right at the beginning
Trust Acts,
that only 2% of them actually file their returns.
So
that's a problem. That is a problem. And that but Kavita Srivastav, you've come in there from Jaipur tonight. You know, Shaina made an interesting comment, nuisance value. Now, is that how you think that this is being looked at, that NGOs have a nuisance value and therefore the government is turning on NGOs? But I ask all of you, I ask Malika Sarabhai, Javedanand, and I ask you as well, that do NGOs in this country also need to be more transparent about their funding and where the money is coming from?
See, firstly, I'd like to say that if
plural
diverse perspectives to an issue is going to be called nuisance value, then let China know that this is undermining Indian democracy. Indian democracy clearly gives space to all kinds of views, and if there is an opinion that in the name of economic security there is going to be undermining of people's livelihoods, it's a threat to people's lives, there is an increase of insecurity of people's lives, then there will be opposition. I think the opposition is legitimate. You can have one opinion, but I think so. We went to the Supreme Court also that the nuclear energy is a threat in Kudamkulam. So I can have one point of view on GM crop. I think it is poisonous. I think raising the height of Narmada Dam and displacing 250,000 people is a problem, and I will oppose it. So if I am then called a nuisance value, well, the government has to learn to appreciate that it is under the Indian Constitution which respects dissent. So we are not a nuisance value. Secondly, regarding accountability and transparency, the whole right to information movement, of which I was also part of in '94, was this whole process that everybody in public life be transparent, be accountable, and pai ka hisab. Every money should be, we should make that accountable. And secondly, we tried to fight that even corporates and private individuals ought to be transparent, and they also ought to reveal information. Some individuals like us, without any income, I don't earn anything, I still file my returns regularly. The PUCL, we are not a registered organization. We simply are a small association born in the jail. We still file our returns, the national PUCL and some state units. So we believe in transparency, and I think if somebody violates the law, somebody violates while bringing in foreign funds or whatever, PUCL doesn't take any kind of institutional funding. But if anybody violates the law, let the law of the land take its course. What is this issue about, totally suppressing us? It's sinister. I think the effort is to actually lead a corporate agenda, without any debate and discussion. This we will not allow.